A lot of drama for no reason at all. Hi everyone, I'm Celestina. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and let's get into this. So today I want to talk about my experience at a therapeutic school. They're all different, even here in Jersey, like where I am. They are completely different around the spectrum. But I'm going to talk about the one that I went to specifically. The reason I went to a therapeutic school was because of the fact that it was harder for me to be in a regular school setting. I was missing a lot of days due to a lot of hospitalizations. I suffer from, I don't want to say I suffer from, but at that point in time, my depression and bipolar was really bad. So since then, I've learned to control it, thankfully, without any medication, without anything like that, which I'm very happy about. But so sometime during my junior year, they decided that I had to go to a therapeutic school, or I had to get out of the school setting I was currently in. So they did an IEP meeting with the school psychologist, which isn't the type of lady to, go around and give you counseling, but instead she's there to evaluate the kids that are in the school. To my understanding, every school in Jersey has a school psychologist for this reason, for planning 504 plans and IEPs, which is what they call them over here. Once they decided that I was going to go to a therapeutic school, the next step was for me to go out and pick one. I had 3 options because of the ones that were closest to me in my vicinity, and I got to choose one out of the 3. So I went to each school to visit. The first school was a behavior school, and I don't remember a lot about it because I just remember thinking, like, this just wasn't the school for me because I don't really have many behavioral issues. So I did not pick that one. The second school had to do more with kids that had mental illnesses. It still had kids with behavioral issues. It's always going to be that way. And I just didn't like it. I didn't like the atmosphere. I even knew someone who went there, but I did not want to go because I knew her and I didn't really like her that much. And because, I don't know, like the atmosphere was just really bad. Then the third school I went to was called Cornerstone. And it was the school with the most structure out of all of the schools. And I thought for sure that would have turned me off, but it really reeled me into the idea of going to a therapeutic school. I don't know why. I think because of the fact that I felt so lost, I really felt connected to a place that would give me so much structure. After I picked my school and I was ready to go, this is how my experience at Cornerstone went. The school was about 45 minutes away from my house, so what they would do is they had a van come and pick me up along with a bunch of other kids that lived in the area. I want to say like 2 other kids that were in my area, and take me to school. There was only about 100 kids in my school, but my school was from 5th grade to 12th grade. So yeah, there was about 20 5th to 8th graders because that was considered the middle school, which was like a different part of the school kind of. And then freshman year to senior year, that was a completely different set of kids. I want to say in my grade, I went there during 12th grade. There was only about 15 of us, give or take, I'm pretty sure. So every day we would come in and we would have to put our phones in a little locker because we were not allowed to have our phone throughout the entire day. At first, it took me a little time to get used to, but eventually I kind of liked not having my phone throughout the day, not being able to see what was going on, and kind of having some time to just myself and what's going on around me. Then you go and you get your point sheet. So basically your point sheet is this sheet of paper that you get every day, and it has all your classes on it. And next to each class, there's a little place for your teacher to sign their signature and the amount of points that you get for that class. So points work like this. So if I'm in history and I fall asleep, I only get 3 points. It's out of 4. So I only get 3 points. If I don't do my homework, now I only have 2 points. If I'm fooling around or messing around or being mean or being rude, it can go down all the way to having no points at all. So it does work that way. Your points and what you need them for is every single... Well, let me start with this. My school ran all through the year. So we had longer breaks for like Christmas break, and we had like a summer break kind of, but like it wasn't the entire summer break. Like we still had to go to school in the summer. In fact, I started school in July and I ended in August of my senior year, and that's when I graduated. So during the actual school year, we had a trip every single month. And it was usually pretty cool, like something like ice skating or like an amusement park or like going to see a plane or something like that. I didn't go to a lot of the trips because of my point sheets, which are what determines whether you go on the trip or not. Also, my friends never really had a lot of points on their point sheets either, so when everybody would go on the trip, it would be us to wreak havoc in the school, and that was one of my favorite things. We also had like a tier that went along with the point sheets, so like you could, if you got a certain amount of points throughout the year, well, throughout the month, then you could petition to move up to a tier, and that came with certain responsibilities and certain things that you could get out of that. So like when you first get to the school, you're not allowed on any trips because you have to be at least on the next tier to go on any trips. After that, you can go on trips, but the next tier gets different things and so on and so on. I didn't really do a lot of that stuff either, to be completely honest with you. I wasn't the type of person to try and get that far. But if you get all the way to the top tier and you've been there since, like, if you were a freshman and you're in your sophomore year now and you've gotten all the way to the top tier, you can petition to leave the school and go to a regular school now because it's time for you to kind of move on with the therapeutic setting. So there are a couple of different classes and places and things that you do at a therapeutic school that make it a therapeutic school. So first of all, one, you get a therapist, obviously. There are a couple of therapists at the school. I think I had about 6 therapists at my school. And you meet with them once a week or whenever, theoretically, you can meet with them. So if you've already met with them that week, but you're really struggling that day, you can go and look for them. And if they're not busy, then they'll meet with you and you can talk to them. We also had this class called Process Group, which is a class where there's one therapist from whichever the therapist there is. It doesn't have to be necessarily yours. And they run a group, like a group session. So there's a bunch of kids from your school throughout freshman to senior that sit in a room together and talk about their issues. You don't have to talk. Sometimes you could just sit and pay attention and listen and give advice. Usually I would talk like 3 times a week if I felt it was necessary. And I would mostly give advice. My favorite thing to do was give advice. But yeah, process group was always a little bit different because there's always kids coming in and out of the school as well because of the fact that people are graduating and leaving to regular school, people are graduating and going to college, and then there's, you know, kids that are coming in with different issues. So it was always an adventure. We also had a class called Psych Ed, which was where they taught us about like everybody's, well, basically they taught us about psychology, so everybody's mental illnesses and what they are. So they taught us about bipolar disorder, depression, like sociopathism, I don't really know. Like a lot of different diagnoses, whatever, that it would be important to learn because of the fact that we go to school with most of the diagnoses in the DSM-5. One thing about going to therapeutic school was that there was a lot of drama for no reason at all. It's mostly because you're kind of stuck with these people all day, and you don't have your cell phone, so you can't get any like outside contact. These are who you're in here with, and that's that. So, like, I remember having this one friend, I'm gonna call him Lewis because I want to keep all of their names confidential. And he had a girlfriend at the time, and he had a lot of girlfriends, but at this time he had a girlfriend. I'm gonna call her Lucy. And so Lucy, I remember, was a little bit intimidating. I thought she was very pretty, but she was very scary at the same time. But I ended up becoming friends with her. But at the time, I remember being in science class with Lewis, and I was like, he was cold, so I gave him my sweater, and I was like, it's a little big on me, just take it, right? I didn't see him for a couple periods later. I didn't see her. But when I got to our class, that's when everything hit the fan. I saw my sweater folded up all nice and neat on the table, and one thing that you need to know about Lewis is he's not the type of person to just fold things nicely and neatly. He'd be the type to just like throw that crap in your face and be like, here, thank you for the sweater. I'm like, okay. So when I came in and I saw it folded all nicely, I was like, that's strange. That doesn't make any sense. This was my first confrontation, I feel like, really at the school, that just escalated further from there because things got wild. But I don't really want to talk about any of that stuff right now. So when she came in, Lucy came in and Lewis came in, and I was like, oh, the sweater's here. But I didn't really say anything about it. So I just took it and I put it on again because I was cold at this point too. And I remember her saying something along the lines to him as, I didn't know you were the type to like skinny. So I was like, oh, she's definitely talking about me. But luckily, since I was in art class, I got to like splatter paint all over the canvas, and I was fine. Yeah, if you were to go to a therapeutic school, I feel like that's a general thing. It's just there is gonna be drama. We also had codes at my school for this reason. So we have code red, code yellow, and I think code green was the other one. So I don't remember what code green was, but code red is like if there's a kid flipping out. Like if they left their classroom or if they're in their classroom and they're beating up on some other kid. We had like a no tolerance policy for that kind of stuff though. So there wasn't really a lot of that. It was more of like them escaping, running into the hallway, trying to leave the building. Oh, I think trying to leave the building was code green. But code red was more like banging lockers, you know, trying to hurt themselves, screaming at the top of their lungs, being generally uncontrollable. And that's when they would call it code red and everybody had to clear the halls. So we would stay in the classroom until we were able to leave the classroom and they were able to restrain the kid. But we didn't really have restraints either. It was only like if you were really flipping out, like they had to grab you. Code yellow was if you left the classroom, like, and you didn't do anything else. So if you were in your class and you were like, I don't want to do this anymore, and you just walked out and left, that's a code yellow because you left the class. I never understood those because you could leave voluntarily. So like if you were like, hey, mister, like I really don't feel well, like I'm not feeling good today, I really just don't want to be here, they would send you to this room that we had called IA. So it was just basically this empty room with some desks and one teacher, and they would just sit in there with you and you could do nothing. You could fall asleep, you could write in your journal maybe, but it was really just more of a room for reflection and just to take your time to calm down. Overall, I want to say that going to a therapeutic school was very, very beneficial for me. I learned so much at that place. So much that I physically had to shorten this by a lot because I just couldn't discuss everything that went on in that place. It was such an amazing experience to kind of go through, and I really developed myself while I was there, and I'm so thankful that I was able to get the opportunity to go. I met a lot of friends while I was there. I wouldn't say a lot of them were the best influences, but I learned how to differentiate that as well. So if you're thinking of going to a therapeutic school, or you're going to a therapeutic school, or you feel like it might be something that's good for you because you don't do well in a regular school setting, it might be something to look into. I know in Jersey, the district pays for you going to school, so nothing comes out of pocket from your parents. But yeah, I hope you liked the video. I'm going to try to make 3 videos a week. This is my first video, so if you like it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and comment below. Also, I made an Instagram account called For Those Who Care to Share. I'm going to leave that in the link in the bio as well. Well, maybe not a link. I'm going to leave it in the description of the bio. Because I think it's a really cool setup. Basically what it is it's a page where you guys DM me what you want to post. If you want to post something funny or, you know, a story about something that happened to you guys, about anything that you guys are struggling with, or something funny that you guys are struggling with, or that people you feel like might need to hear. Yeah, so it's basically a page where you guys DM me and I'll put it on the page. Probably as of now, since I have literally no subscribers and nobody watching me, If anybody sends me anything, it's going on the page, unless it's like, you know, very disrespectful. But yeah. Thank you for watching, and ciao.